welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Today we are going to talk about cyber warfare and us, how we are affected as a citizens, also how it's affected our businesses, and yeah, and what we can do to these dangers to be like less dangerous for us. So before starting, Charlie, you want to add something or should?
Okay, come.
Everything is perfect. Let's gonna start let's gonna start with who I am. My name is Álvaro González. As you can guess from my thick accent, I'm from Spain, where I get my degree in microsystem and networks. Then I moved here to UK to study in the Gloucester University, where I get my cybersecurity degree.
I can just add something there.
Yep.
The Cheltenham is the centre of GCHQ, which
Exactly.
is why the university has a cybersecurity course, particularly.
Exactly. Plus,
so that's why Alvaro works in Cheltenham. Why he works for me.
Correctly. Plus, it was a little data there. Is one of the first universities in Europe in the time before Brexit, where it was one of the few ones that they offer a cybersecurity degree in university. Previously to that, you have to rely on private courses or going to Israel, where it was like already for a long time university degree. As Charlie point, I came here to study, and I got the incredible luck to work with for Bad Software. Currently, I'm the cybersecurity lead manager. Apart from these titles, also I'm a member of the INCIBE Bootcamp. The INCIBE is the National Cybersecurity Institute in Spain, where people enthusiastic about cybersecurity like me and other people, we gather together to do different courses and to try to speak more about cybersecurity. And also I'm member of the OWASP Society, the Open Web Application Security Project. That is a non-profit foundation that works to improve the security and software and to extend the cybersecurity knowledge all around the internet. If anybody has any question, please don't hesitate to interrupt me and I will reply quickly. But we will have like 10-15 minutes at the end of the session to respond questions, or if something was not clear, we can do that. But please don't be shy. I don't bite. So let's start. If you indulge me, let me start with a little story about my institute years, my secondary years. As you can see in this picture, you will see a young version of me with a red arrow, and a blue version that is a really dear friend of mine that, destiny or not, he ended up working in cybersecurity too. As you can see, there is a lecture picture with my economy teacher there dressed as panoramics from Asterix and Obelix. And you will be wondering why that? Like, what is related with cyber warfare? Let me explain. It was 2nd of March of 2010. It was the book day in Spain, so that's why my dear teacher was dressed as a fictional character. And my friend and I, we had 3 things in common. We love computers, we love cybersecurity, and we were really bad in economy. Well, in the whiteboard, you can see that there's like economic terms, blah, 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 because we were doing a group project there. It was 2010, so I was around 15 years old. I was in my GCHE, and during that time, it was a huge scandal or a huge news that Irani nuclear plant in Natanz. I cannot express it correctly. Sorry for my Irani lack skills. But yeah, we were really worried. It was like almost the end of it was beginning of the third semester, the third trimester, sorry. and we were like really stressed because we were really bad and in economy, and we were really lazy to study for the final exam that we will have in 3 months. So we had this group project, and one day that we were in our break, we were talking about this attack that happens in Iran. We read a little bit, we found that it was fascinating how a malware could jump through pen drive to pen drive to all around the globe and infect the 58% of all devices in Iran and end up in the nuclear plant, shutting it down completely. So we have this moment of a light bulb saying like, okay, so we have this important group project. We have to do a PowerPoint. Why we don't use the vulnerability on Windows to infect the pen drive with the PowerPoint and then try to stall the final exams? We have a couple of challenges there because, as you can see here in the lower bottom screen, the computers were embedded in the desk and only the teachers have access. So we decided, okay, like let's gonna research on internet, let's gonna download the code, and let's gonna try it. That code was already out in all cybersecurity websites. Everybody were like talking about it. It was like the hot topic of the moment. So we download the code, we do the presentation, and we were quite lucky, and it worked. The pen drive was infected, and it went jumping through pen drive of my teacher to another pen drive of the same teacher of the same area, till it reached to the head of the department, and with success gain access to the exams. The problem was that it was too many exams, so in the end we didn't know which one was real. So you can see in our two faces like the nervous smile saying like, okay, like what we did. And you were thinking like, yeah, that's a really cute story, but why is related with cyber warfare? The thing is, like, we use a technique that it was not used precedently apart from this attack, and it was a COD vulnerability. That is the vulnerabilities that they use, like criminals, governments, and everything to gain access. 0 day is a non-know vulnerability where nobody knows about is there, and they try to exploit it as soon as they can. And also these vulnerabilities cost millions, like to be the first one to obtain that and everything like moves at a huge market. And two simple students in the GCE, we managed to apply cyber warfare to our daily basis. The thing is, like, if two students luckily apply that techniques, but guys in like a normal criminals, cyber criminals, they will use them too. We were here, you hear me talking about cyber warfare, but what is cyber warfare? Cyber warfare is the tactics, means, and tools to inflict maximum and collateral damage. From the point of view, this kind of attacks and this kind of activities, you would think that they are only reserved for the governments, or there are a bunch of techniques that they are only used by the governments that attack to each other, try to disrupt their enemies, attacking different key areas of the society. But as you can see, anybody, once that they are already out, anybody can use them. You can see here in the left side of the screen these lovely chaps on green. This is actually a real photo. This is the USC Cybercom, the United States Cyber Command, that they are in charge of the cybersecurity of all United States. This is a little division, but they spend millions and millions in keep developing this area. Plus using the NSA, that is the cybersecurity intelligence, to try to gather as much information to try to scan and research different vulnerabilities to maintain the country secure. Nowadays, cyber warfare is in all around the media. not because of the Ukrainian war, but also because it's one of the key factors that we are going to have to deal in a future in our daily basis. Nowadays, every single computer, every single device is interconnected. Our light bulbs, for example, that they are controlled by IoT device, like for example Google Home or Alexa, they are connected. Our printers, mobile phones, even in some cases, some cardiac tools that they use to people that they have heart problems, they are connected via internet. So it's a really huge field where the governments, they are really interested and they are keep developing. But it's not only in the past 10 years that we've been like really deep into our warfare. As you can see in the next slide, between 2010 and 2021, we have several attacks that they've been affected all around the world, not only United States or like Ukraine, Russia, China, but all around the world. For example, sorry, I was moving the cameras. Let's gonna start with Stuxnet. Stuxnet was one of the biggest one that we had, and one of the biggest one that we had knowledge of. For the people that they doesn't know what is Stuxnet, as I said, it was a little piece of malware that jumped through pen drive to pen drive using an exploitation that had in that time, allowing to copy the malware into the pen drive in a completely backside, so nobody will notice that it was there. And instead of trying to destroy immediately a device, what it was doing, it was asking for a specific. Sorry, we have a question. Oh, no, I think we don't have a question. So what they did, it was asking for a specific profile of a computer, and in this case was the microcontroller that controls the fans of the power plant. So because of the security issues, there are several key industries or key areas where they are not connected to internet, like for example power nuclear plants. They are completely disconnected. And in the case of this one in Natsan, if I pronounce it correctly, it was completely in the middle of the desert with no connection at all. So they developed this malware that was jumping all around the world until one of the workers, like suddenly got infected with that pen drive, took it to their work, and trick the Iranian authorities and the Iranian nuclear experts to think that the reactor was having a meltdown, when it wasn't. It was completely secure, between quotes. But yep, they stopped the production of that nuclear plant for several years. And it's not only one case. It's water utility. For example, in Pennsylvania, I think it was, or it was all around the world, they attacked SCADA systems. The smart meters. This one was another like huge one. During the 2012, when Puerto Rico was doing the referendum to see if they step down from being United States associated or be part of United States, they had several attacks in the smart meters, like costing like thousands and thousands of dollars. We have Hevex, that it was a Trojan that they were discovered, that it was like infected like around of the 3% of devices in the world. We have Black Energy, that it was a massive DDoS attack against electrical facilities in Ukraine when Russia was annexing Donetsk. We have attacks to BMW sniper rifle. This one was a really interesting one. United States was developing auto focus, we can say, or auto scope of sniper rifles, and they discover a vulnerability that they can exploit. Triton, that it was another big one. They stopped completely the petrochemical plants in Saudi Arabia. Florida Waters, another example. In this case, I think it was around when Trump was running for president. Between more like Pegasus in 2016, where like almost all Europe were discovered that they were using this piece of software to spy between countries. We have now more recent ones with Ukraine war, where Russia attacked key sectors like the government, the NATO, and the banking websites to completely disrupt Ukraine. And as Charlie said at the beginning, there was now with Iran that they were scammed. Apparently, we cannot be sure if cyber warfare was an attack of cyber warfare, or it was just bad luck for the government and they got scammed like millions and millions of dollars. So you would be thinking, how like civilians? What's the correlation about military and civilians? The thing is, like, these attacks, they are not only used by governments, they are used by script kiddies like my friend and me when we are starting to learn cybersecurity, and we managed to do it successfully in relative terms. As we can see in the next slide, these are the 10 types of cyber attacks that are most common in the world, around the world. Sabotage, espionage, electric power grids, DDoS attacks, propaganda, phishing, malware, ransomware, economic disruption, and sudden attacks. There are a few of these categories that, as a business owners or thinking about the security of a business, we are affected, but in the third parties, we are not really targeted on it. Like, for example, electrical power grid, propaganda, yes, economic disruption could be, yeah, but this sabotage, phishing, malware, ransomware, DDoS, sudden attacks, and propaganda, they are the same. Same techniques, same deal, the same objectives, trying to gather information, trying to gather money, try to get information for selling to third ones. And the thing that almost all these attacks they share in common is that they have a background in social engineering. It is the most difficult and the most challenging kind of attacks that a company and a business can face. So what is social engineering? Social engineering, there are a bunch of techniques where an attacker try to trick us in a certain way to stole information or get a profit from that information, or even though espionage or trying to disrupt. There are several techniques, but the most common use are the insider attacks. They are like, we can consider as social engineering attack, scams, payment errors, etc., phishing, identity theft, among other ones. So cyber criminals, they can take advantage of the information that we commonly see day to day. If an attacker wants to get more information, we already serve it. Like, if he visits the website of any of the business, almost all the websites, they have a little section of who is, to show to the clients who we are, what work we do, etc., etc. This has been a norm on internet from the beginning, and it's really difficult to change it now. But it's also like a really huge information for attackers. They use social media, they use location sharing, like in Google Maps, they will check where is this business, the localization of this business. In-person conversation, trying to get information through customer service, etc., etc., etc. And you will ask how we can protect it. Well, there are different ways to make our businesses more safe, but before of that, we are gonna get a little bit deeper in the different attacks, starting with the most difficult to detect, and for me the most horrifying as a cybersecurity manager, that is the insider attacks. Between 2018 2020, these attacks have been increased by a 47%. It's incredibly alarming how in a couple of years, like we almost like double, we almost like increased by a 50%
Right.
the amount of insider attacks that that different companies. Yep. Sorry, we have a question around here.
I don't think it was a question. I think it was a failure to use the mute button.
Okay, no problem. In 2021, Verizon, that is a quite huge company, has his data breach and investigation report that suggests that the insiders are responsible around like the 22% of attacks. That means that like different information leaks, different malware infections, stolen data, stolen identities, unauthorized expenditures, they are come from insiders attacks. But what is an insider? An insider is a malignus, we can say, or like a bad person that started working in our company. It could see like a normal employee, but behind he has his own agenda. He or she has his own agenda. In this case, it could be a person that was hired for another company to sabotage your company. It could be hired to do industrial espionage. It could be just a random person who wants to get an extra profit through extortion, ransom, have a personal vendetta against the company. And as I said, it's one of the most difficult attackers that you can detect, because it will be dressed up as a normal employee, and from that, sorry, I'm hearing a dog. If you could mute, thank you. As I was saying, it's the nightmare of any cybersecurity manager, any IT technician, because you don't know who is behind of that attack, and it's incredibly difficult to detect until it's too late. How it can be solved? Sadly, there is not a unanimous answer of how it can be resolved. There are certain techniques that they are more technical techniques that it can be corrected. Updating software, like using an antivirus, making secure connections. But in this case, because they're attacking the most weak chain in the security system of a company, that is the human being, is the most difficult one to pursue. How it can be solved? Creating security policies, using physical security where you can store your documents like safely. Screen the new hires. Like I will be really I will highlight this one really much, because as a new person, like as a new employee, some companies they give too much liberty, and it's like it's a new person, like don't worry, it's still learning. I will highlight that. Screen your new hires. Use multi-factor authentication. For example, in BAT, like we took the decision that use it two-factor authentication with all our clients and internally as a security measure. Secure desktops. Try to use Active Directory. Try to lock the computers during certain hours, for example, at night, where nobody is working and nobody is gonna suspect that nobody is gonna detect that attack. Segment LANs, it will be another good approach where like not on the yes
ideas about security and phishing and shit like that.
Sorry, can you repeat, please, sir? Sorry, I didn't quite hear the question. Can you repeat?
think you better move on.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. We will try to jump after the talk. Segment LANs try not to have all the dispositive in the same LANs. Try to sectorize. Try to separate the highest risk one through the normal ones. Seal information leaks. In case I would recommend to do scans weekly or monthly to see if any information or confidential information is leaked on the internet and try to detect where it comes from. Investigate unusual activity, as I said, if someone is logging at 3 a.m. when it should be sleeping and is doing like oftenly, like maybe HR should ask, or the IT department or the cybersecurity department of your company should ask, like, what are you doing like connecting at 3 a.m.?
Alvaro, could
yes.
you explain how you do that? If you're a small business, how do you check the logins?
If you're a small business, it really depends. It really depends on the architecture of your business. But if you have your own website or your own Active Directory, you can check that on the logs on the website, on the host page. For example, in Amazon Web Services, you have a console where you can check the logins and the logs of the software. Also, if you are using Active Directory, the lead manager of IT has access to all the log data. So I will recommend to those ones who has an IT department, or those ones that they have a small business and they don't have the privilege to have an IT department, once a week, try to check more or less the logins and also the logs of the system.
And what about if you're a small business and you've got a shared drive, a Microsoft drive, which is shared, which is quite common, how would they check the logins to the drive? Is that possible?
Is that possible? Like, more than, you will not be able to check the access, but you will be able to check when was viewed the last document, when was the last modification, who was the last who opened that document. So that would be a little indicative if your normal work hours is from 9 to 5 and someone access at 3 a.m. one day. Maybe it could not be nothing. Maybe he was preparing, or he had some lack of sleep, and something was bothering him at night and had to check. But if you see the same person like connecting in a really weird hours, that's not quite an indicative, like something could be wrong. So better ask to be sorry. As I said, investigate unusual activities, or if you notice, like for example, your servers, they are starting to download like a lot of data from one day to another, and it's not the normal download that you have in your daily basis, that will be an indicative too. Implement tools and strategies to detect that. There are like a lot of free tools, like for example, the Snort, that is LAN sniper, network sniper, we can say, that it will monitorize the traffic on your network and also ban certain behaviors, like for example, trying to do multiple connections to different terminals, or trying to take down the network. That would be one tool. There is plenty of more. You can use Nmap if you want to check the ports or the IPs from your network, several of them. Also, monitor the misuse of these devices. Sometimes employees, they use their work devices as leisure devices, watching like YouTube videos, or like downloading a piece of software that they should not be downloaded. And even though that doesn't mean that it's an attacker, an insider, it could generate more problems for the company. So I would recommend also to monitor the misuse of the dispositive and the data inside of the company.
It's very difficult to listen to, isn't it?
All right. It's gonna go with the other common attack that for sure everybody has the experience, that is identity fraud. Fraud complaints have been increased by 19% this year, and more than 5.8 million people around the world have been compromised with a financial loss of 6.1 billion American dollars. We can say this data, almost part of this data is coming from it comes from the ICO. The ICO documents that they were released a few weeks ago, but also from the last statistics from the US Federal Trade Commissions. One thing that I want to point here in the 5.8 million people where her identity were like stolen, 1.3 million were children. That's something that really makes me give me goosebumps. It's incredible. Usually this kind of identity thefts is linked with financial fraud that we are gonna speak in the next slide, but it's not only that that end. Also, the identity threat can be used to sell it into the dark web in a huge package with other identities, and then attackers, they will use it as their convenience, maybe to try to ask for a mortgage in their name, trying to get approached to another business that they have relationship with your company. There are different motives that why an attacker want to solve your identity, but mainly is or financial fraud or into sexual terms, if we talk about more teenagers and more around people are common people, but financial fraud is the most common one. How it can be solved, this problem? As I said, there is no, in cybersecurity, we have said that we cannot guarantee the 100% of security, as we cannot guarantee that you have your security 100% in the streets. Like you can be walking one day and you sleep and hit your head in the floor and you will have damage for your lives or losing your life. Cybersecurity is the same, but with these few points, I think we can be more secure. Like shred your post. If you have any bank details, any pieces of information where your name, surname, or any kind of identical number, like for example the NIF, or that's the national ID in Spain, your company's number, or any kind of information, try to shred it, or burn it, or but try to dispose that information in a correct way. Redirect your post. If you are moving from your house or like you are changing companies, please make sure that all your post is redirected to the new address. Be tidy. Don't leave bills or any important information like a credit card on the top of your desk or anything, because it could be a problem, or a password, your password like in a post-it. Please don't do that. You will be impressed how many companies they do that and they don't take it into account. Know your bank. There are like, here in England we have a huge problem where like scammers and different criminals, they have like a really open field to perform like phone scams, and it's because the lack of regulatory in this field in the UK laws, and they allow from call centers in India, Poland, even United States, and even in the UK to call and try to get your information, trying to impersonate your bank, asking for details and those kind of things to gather information of you. So know your bank. Usually important matters, they will come through mail. They will not call you to ask you for your password. That's a really good thumb rule. Try to know the number when they are calling you. Those kind of details really help you to spot someone that is trying to steal your identity or your bank details. Create complex password and try to change it in a regular basis, like every 3-6 months try to change your password, and if you can, try to not use the same password for your bank details and for other services that you are using. Use an antivirus. These are another really good rule of thumb. You will be surprised how many people in their daily lives and also in the companies they don't use anti-malware or antiviruses. Connect with those that you know. Don't accept any kind of invitation from people that you don't know on social media or emails or those kind of things. Be Wi-Fi wise. If you're gonna deal with sensitive data like your bank details or like company details, try not to use open Wi-Fi's, because you never know who is listening there. And if you really need to use public Wi-Fi, try to use a VPN to protect the connection between your computer to the final destination. And be private. Nowadays we live in a society, maybe because I'm younger, we live in a society where a lot of younger people and not so younger people, they post all their life in social media like Instagram, YouTube, different social media, without double think about if that is going to be a problem in the future or not. Like there is several cases where tweets of 2008 or even earlier, like 2002, create problems with people to get into jobs, and also lack of like little details of their security, like for example addresses where they live or those kinds of things. There are many actors and actresses that they've been denied roles because of this. There have been like, many employees from different companies that they post their first day at work, and you can see the credentials for entering in the office, and that's a huge problem. And as I said, think about what you are posting and if it's going to affect you negatively in the future. Linking with the identity fraud, as I said, most of the cases are linked to scams and other different financial scams or payment errors. We can describe it. Around 50% of people is contacted by a scammer and engaged with them. That's huge. It's incredible. Like actually, even me, sometimes I have a guilty pleasure when I receive this kind of scam calls. The hacker of me starts to be a little bit playful, and I try to feed them wrong information, quoting movies and everything, just having a good time. See, but it's clearly that one of the most common scams that it was last year, it was that you suffer a car accident and they need your security number to give you the money. IT technical calls where like they try to impersonate Microsoft or whatever, and they try to gain access to your computer. There are many. You would think that these kind of scams are targeted to younger people or like really elder people, but not at all. There are different kinds of scammers that they target only for information to gain more access. There are different scammers that they try to get monetary revenue behind it, and don't overestimate them. Everybody can be affected. Everybody is a target. 4,088 millions were lost around the world with these scammers, and it's incredible that of these 50% of people that contact by a scammer, 30% of them 30% of them they will lose their money. So it's incredible how much money these kind of attacks they move around the world. And the sad part is, like in India, Poland and everything, there are companies that they are straight, United States too, but they are like regulating more now these days. But there are companies that in the front you will see that it's a legit telemarketing company, but in the back the main purpose is to scam people and try to get money. There is a really good video of a YouTuber that I love, that he was a NASA engineer, where he launched an investigation with another hackers, and and get three of those data call centers and work with the FBI and the CIA. Well, work with the United States government and the India government to try to take them down. It's marvelous. Later, if I can find it, I will share it in the comments. How we can solve this? Usually this kind of identity forms can where you can purchase, there are calls, there are purchases, but mainly the main ones that is these scams are from phone calls. So try to avoid to give any information like passwords, personal numbers, dates, birth dates, security questions. If you have any problem, the bank is not gonna call you for that. They maybe call you saying like, oh, please, Mr. Palmer, come to the office on Monday because we have some issues, or they will send you a letter. They will not ask directly what are your security details. And no company, they should that. There are some examples that some companies they do to try to maintain a more liviane or like more fast or more personal treatment with their business associates or with the customers, but please try to avoid that. Before you buy or purchase any good or services, stick with trusted companies and brands that you know that they have a strong reputation. Always use secure websites. Try to check when you in the URL section in the browser. You will see that nowadays many of the websites they have a little lock. That means that the website is protected by SSL, so the connection is secure and everything. And many of these like counterfeit websites they don't have it. But nowadays, like they are getting ahead of that, but it's still a small percentage. As I said, always use secure websites. Never give passwords, PIN, or bank account numbers. As I say, legit companies will never ask these details over a phone or an email. Use credit card and secure payments with a credit card that you have. There are many services that the banks have with credit cards that they will assure you that the money is going to be secure. When you are transferring money or like receiving money, please double verify with the person that is sending you the money or you are sending the money. Verify that the amount is correct, that he is a legit person. If you can try to maintain, as I have like a face-to-face conversation, not over the phone, because everybody can impersonate a lot of people over the phone. So try to see their faces or try to meet them personally. Try to follow the chain of command. If, for example, like if the department of the financial department needs to do a huge or small payment, consult it with the CEO, with the person that is in charge, but double verify that is the right amount, is the right person, and then you can send or receive the money. If you pay with credit card and the goods or the service they are not delivered, you can ask to the credit card company to investigate it, and in the majority of cases, you will receive the money back. So try to stick with legit card companies like Barclays, or like nowadays almost all the banks that they are regulated, they will have this secure money. And also if you are using online payments, like for example PayPal or other different like Skills, I think, or in Spain, for example, Bizum. Check if they are covered by fraud protection scheme websites, because a few of them they don't cover it. It's on your fault, but the most legit ones they usually cover it. Also check for the privacy returns and policy, just in case. Print a copy of the order and any information that you have, and don't and store it securely until you receive the service of the goods. And as I said, and I will repeat this during the whole presentation, please keep your password secure, change the regulatory, create a strong passwords. The next attack that we are going to talk is about phishing. Sorry, one second. Sorry. Phishing attacks is also one of the most common attacks that they are extended all around the internet. Like almost 90% of data breaches come from phishing attacks. Every month there is 1.5 million of phishing attacks that they are set up. And as you can see, a phishing attack, usually the form that is more common is via email. We have here a phishing attack from PayPal where the fake, the domain of the sender, like, sorry for the image, I think I could not get another better one. But the email that we received from, the URL is completely wrong. PayPal doesn't have division in Australia, it's only PayPal. There is a suspicious appear that your account has been limited for whatever reason. You maybe didn't have PayPal or anything, but you will receive this email. There's bad grammar and wrong spelling, and also they are trying to send you to another links, and it's so easy to get over the link and check where they are trying to send you. As you can see here, they are trying to send you to a really weird IP where it doesn't belong to PayPal. So phishing attacks, usually they are at attempt to obtain sensitive data by deception or try to gain access with economic purpose or to a gathering information purpose. This attack, it could be like really difficult, it could be difficult to detect because even though like email providers, they give you some tools with the spam tools like marking an email as a spam and everything, there is so many spam campaigns that they are born in the daily basis that is like really difficult to keep up. How we can solve this or how we can protect us? Don't click in any links of an email unless you can guarantee who is from. Try to double send an email back saying, what is this? Like, if it's a big company like this one, like PayPal, you will not receive any information or an email back. But if it's like a normal user, they will confirm that they send that email and that URL is legit. Check the spelling, as I said, like you will be fascinated. So many phishing attacks, they contain like the most horripilant grammar mistakes. Check the direction where it comes from, because like there's I guarantee that it's not like they will not come from the company that they send you. Only use trust methods, contact with the person and everything, contact with the phone number, try to have a video call, everything. And if you detect a spam mail, please mark it as spam, and your provider will deal with it. I'm gonna go a little bit faster. Like, we have a couple of slides, and it will be done for this session, and we will jump to the Q&A section. Ransomware. I put here ransomware between another malwares, but nowadays ransomware is one of the most common attacks, or most of the most destructive attacks that we can find. Over 300,000 computers were affected in more than 150 countries. The NHS were completely stopped during several weeks, and they have to took the information with pen and paper. Not only that, Renault, FedEx, Spanish telecoms, gas companies, German railway, everywhere. It was a disaster. And these softwares that they usually do is to these malwares, better said, is trying to encrypt your data or log out from your system and ask for some money in return to get control. The first policy that you have to get is like never pay them. The information is never guaranteed that you're gonna have it back. Don't click in any emails, SMS, or other different links that you say that is sent by you with no any confirmation that is a secure email or secure communication. Try to back up all the sensitive information and try to store in a secure way, and if it's possible, offline. patch your software. Like many of the run softwares, they are disguised in software that is like is software came from the piracy, like software that is not how can I say it? It's not legit. Sorry, I had a lapse moment there. Use an antivirus. This is one of the requirements that I will ask for any company. Please have an antivirus. And try not to click in or download any software or data that you don't know where it comes from. Between this, among these problems, there are many more, like misconfigurations, like data leaks. There are like indexing. There are many problems and many hazards in cybersecurity that we have to be accountable of. But these ones are the mines that they are linked to social engineering attacks. And if I can give you a couple of more tips to how to protect your business, is like assess the risk and identify your weaknesses. Try to scan and monitor all the data leaks that you have, or like how the topology of your networks and what are the weaknesses. Create a contingency plan. Educate your employees. This is one of the key factors, and that's why we in Bad Software we are doing this kind of talks to educate all the people and try to avoid that they fall in this kind of attacks. Back up the critical information. Secure your internet connection and software. Try to use VPNs. Try not to share your Wi-Fi password inside of the company to strangers that you don't know. Try to use legit software, and create a continuity plan. That means that every year, every 6 months, try to revise your plan and try to improve it. And in case that someone has any problem or anything, there is a national reporting mechanism for cybersecurity and fraud that is www.actionfraud.police.uk. They also deal with cybercrime. And you can report it on the website that is 24/7, or you can call to the phone number that you can see in the screen in case that you suffer anything. And this is the end of this talk. Thank you so much for coming. And now it's time to open the Q&A questions. So if anybody has a question, I think we have like 10 minutes more or less of questions.